progressive, but she has taken a conservative mantle. She is Britain's new prime minister. And listen, it may echo here, guys. Let's talk about it. Jessica, I'll go to you because she made a comment. And it would be a great trivia question a day or so ago. She says she wants a country that works for everyone, not just for the privileged few. That sounds like Bernie Sanders.
It does, and Hillary Clinton says it sometimes too. But it absolutely does.
She's not nodding 400 times after Bernie's speaking, but I had to get that in. I'm sorry.
She's just stretching it out, you know. No, well, conservative over there means something very different than over here. And I myself worked for Boris Johnson when I was there, and we know how lefty I am here. So this makes sense. I thought this was a great statement from Theresa May. I think the country's excited about it. I do think it's still very interesting that we have someone who wanted to stay with the European Union now leading. But we'll see. She's certainly a pair of steady hands. So I think it's a good way forward.
Boris Johnson is hardly a lefty. I mean, what am I missing here?
No, well, you're missing. They're all no. I'm saying that I'm a lefty here, but I worked for Boris over there. Well, against Ken Livingston.
That you're just an open-minded person. But Carl, speaking of being open-minded, you know, a lot of people see the parallels, what's happening over there and what's happening over here. They hark back to history, what happened. You had Thatcher and Ronald Reagan come up at the same time. So these political movements, they do transcend, borders, and we've seen it happen before. Any lessons, anything that Donald Trump, you think, is looking at over there or thinking about, particularly as he decides on his VP pick?
Well, I think the way the British people receive this message also is going to be a fair gauge. But we have to look at the fact that equal opportunity doesn't necessarily always mean equal achievement. And you are free to achieve as much or as little in many of the societies like Great Britain, like America, things like that. We also
But isn't Donald Trump saying, though, that something has gone wrong in this country and that there's no longer equal opportunity? And not just for blacks, but working class folks in West Virginia who used to work in those coal mines and had their jobs taken from them in part to political elitists who just didn't think coal was a good fuel. Right.
Well, what we have to do is we have to let the free market sort it out, and this is exactly what the new prime minister is not willing to let happen. Right now, they are diving headfirst back into socialism. Let's cap the rich. Let's bring you can't legislate people into prosperity. It's tried to be done throughout history, and it has never worked. Every country that has socialism is running away from it, and the West is just diving headfirst.
The four people Donald Trump has met with in the last 24 hours. I don't think that you're a big Mike Pence fan, but apparently he's at the top right now in terms of the vetting process. Who do you think might be picked, or who would you like picked?
So it's not that I'm not a Mike Pence fan. It's that my concern is that Donald Trump railed against Common Core and Pence was pro-Common Core. So honestly, like, I would love to see someone like Gingrich come in, and that's because he's worked with the Clinton machine and he balanced the budget under them. I think he could do a great job, and there's not a person on this planet that can debate Gingrich.
But the guy at the top of the ticket calls the shots. I mean, H.W. Bush famously called Reaganomics voodoo economics supplies. So I think that's kind of an easy sort of dance for Pence to make. I will say this. I think it's a little bit, we shouldn't be jumping to conclusions of what this woman stands for, Theresa May, whether she's a lefty, whether she's a Thatcherite. For all I know, she might be a Thatcherite who's basically using the rhetoric of the left to get to build a coalition here. I don't know enough, and I think we don't know enough, and that's kind of where
we go. But I think we do, because she was for Remain. I think we know, but she said, listen,
so was Cameron.
Yeah, and Cameron lost and he quit.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, we don't know exactly where she's going to come out. Is she going to bring us back to? Is she a Labor Party boss in drag?
No.
I'm going to use that.
I think it's early.
She's not.
Jessica, you know what? I think she gave it to us straight. I think this is the vision that she has. And hey, how about this? How about the Western world being afraid that, maybe the pure forms of capitalism aren't working anymore? Listen, there's a lot of elements to it, including low birth rates and those kind of things, but the rest of the world is coming on, and people on both sides of the Atlantic are afraid that the system as it's been established that gave us all this prosperity simply doesn't work anymore, and they're grappling for answers.
They are, absolutely. But what I would say is I think it's actually kind of exciting that both sides of the aisle, here and in the UK and elsewhere, are talking about the same themes. I mean, these are irrefutable facts, what we have with income inequality or, racial injustice, police.
Whoa. I mean, I've been bombarded with a lot of info lately on the merits of the Black Lives Matter
No, that's not, Charlie. That's not what I'm talking about.
I'm just saying, and in terms of income equality, it is has grown dramatically, most dramatically during a time when the President of the United States has made income inequality one of the focuses of his policy agenda. So it's grown more under a Democratic progressive.
And maybe the message there, guys, is that you know, sometimes you can make something worse when you you know, by no matter what your intentions may not be.
Obama trying to take guns out of people's pockets.
All right.